Hello, and welcome to the next video in IMT's web series, Unlinking Twin Records. My name's Tyson Carter, and I'm the Manager of Client Education and Communications here at IMT. I get asked all the time about how to unlink twin records. Well, let's start off by talking a little bit about twins. Twins don't happen very often. There's a few famous twins, like Mark and Scott Kelly, the astronauts. But when we look genetically at twins, natural twins only occur in about 1 out of every 250 births. So why do we seem to have more twins now than ever? Well, thanks to fertility treatments, we're now seeing that 7 in every 100 births are twins. If we compare that to the 1 out of every 250 it used to be, now we're looking at 17 out of every 250. So if you've thought, I keep seeing more and more twins in my data set, you're probably right. It's been a 78% increase in twin births since 1980. So, what do we do with all of this data about twins? Oftentimes, twins have names that can be very difficult to tell if it's a typo or if it's actually a different person. Also, key demographics like a social security number may only be 1 or 2 digits off for a twin. Obviously, dates of birth are most often the same for twins, and even names might rhyme. What can make it even more difficult is when parents get creative with names, like Tina and Tani. Is that a typo, or are those really different names? Let's take a quick look at a set of multiple births in InfoSphere. Here in InfoSphere, I've got a set of triplets, Bryce, Bruce, and Burris Billings. As you can see, they were all born on June 23rd, and when we look at their social security numbers, they're very similar. We have 78, 87, and 98. But let's take a look at these records a little bit deeper to see how they match. As it turns out, our engine has automatically linked all 3 of these records together into one entity. We can see that on the member graph here. We can also see how all of these score against each other. So what we do see is that the record from source A has an affinity to the record from source B and from source C, but the records from source B and source C are different enough that they would not have normally linked. This is similar to the glue member concept that we saw in another video. Let's take another deeper look at these records to see what's going on. I'm going to compare 2 of these records, so we'll take the first 2 and compare them. We do see that the false positive filter is actually kicking in and trying to break these twins apart. However, our current threshold is set at 15, which is still below the 16.1. Even though we see different names, we do see that Bryce versus Bruce is still earning a decent amount of points. And in this case, the middle initials are at least different. However, many twins or many multiples end up with middle initials that are also the same. Let's compare the other 2 records and see how they score against each other. In this case, we only see a 12.1. These would not be considered a match. So, how do we get in and break these 3 people apart? The best way is to access one of the individual records. Here, let's go to Bryce. When I look at Bryce, I can go to the Tasks tab. Here, I can create a new task, and I'm going to create a potential linkage task. Now that I have all 3 of these records in the task, it's easy for me to break them apart. I'm going to simply click the Move to Own Entity icon and break apart all 3 of them. Now that all 3 have their own entity, I'll also mark this one here as resolved. Marking these resolved and having each of them in their own separate entity will create rules that will then, in the future, keep these three twins from linking again. From there, we simply save, and now we've broken apart these twins. I hope you enjoyed this video and can join us next time.